Welcome to Innovate presents Entrepreneurs in Tech. Today, we're delighted to have our guest, Avishai Segal, shorter for, well, AJ. Welcome to the show and pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Bob.
Absolutely. AJ, well, thank you for joining us. To start, can you give us just a quick and small introduction about yourself and a little bit of background, and then we can dive into it to more insightful, interesting, and innovate and informative discussion.
Yes, of course, definitely. I've been involved with many different endeavors in the past, about 17 years or so, ever since I
Hmm.
got out of the army. I did sales, marketing, business development. I've been VP marketing of a startup. I mentored hundreds of different entrepreneurs for the past decade or so, and I was involved with entrepreneurship centers here in Israel. I worked with entrepreneurs from all over the world, and today I'm mostly focused on emerging markets and the disruptive nature of said markets on the globe, especially in the past 2 years or so.
Hmm. Well, this whole disruptive technology and disruptive market thing that we're going to dive into and talked about. Let's start with light questions before we really it gets heavier. What key lessons did you learn from your experience in the startup world, and you believe it's crucial for entrepreneurs, which there's a lot of them right now, are feeling the pressure to everybody to be an entrepreneur, to everybody must have a startup. If you don't have a startup, you're not part of this ecosystem to navigate the early stages of their ventures.
Okay, that's a great question. So, first of all, it's very important that people do partake in different groups and everything on WhatsApp, on Telegram, Facebook, Reddit, whatever. But on the other hand, they should start listening more and talk less. That is, um, there's a lot of echo chambers going in those places. People only want to hear their own voice and they want that voice repeated by everyone else. If someone
Hmm.
tells them off, no, you should do this, you should do that, and that comes from my own experience and whatever, then it's like, no, but I want you to light a torch for me. I want you to blow smoke up my a, things of that sort, and that creates a huge problem because they listen to wrong ideas and then they pitch those wrong ideas to investors, to possible partners, design partners, whatever. And when they're asked, how did you come up with this information? They're like, I read it over here, read it on in this book. I listened to something in that group, and it has no grasp of reality. So it is very much important to study everything and listen to as many voices as possible. Be pluralistic and no ego, because ego will be your downfall. Easy.
So, what are you saying in general? If we sum it to our listeners and viewers, pretty much educate yourself.
Precisely. And it's not
Yes.
just educate yourself. It's like go beyond what is supposed to be taught. Don't use the same thing that the educational system uses. It's not like K-12. It's beyond that.
Hmm.
Just like expand your horizons.
Absolutely. Well said. What specific challenges did you, in particularly, AJ, face in your C-suite roles, and how did you overcome them to drive organizational success?
Okay, that's a great question. One of the things that we did stumble upon a little over a decade ago was pretty much, how would I put this in delicate words? What big tech can do to any small entrepreneur when it comes to that. If there's
Hmm.
enough heat against that company to do something, it may give in to political pressure. And when political pressure takes its form,
Hmm.
your business might be in jeopardy. So we had an app that was taken down from the App Store due
Mm,
to potentially inflammatory kind of information because it had some kind of connection possibly to a certain conflict that was taking place at that specific time.
got it.
But we were also singled out with other apps of similar nature, despite the fact that we had no political affiliation whatsoever, and we didn't take anything. We just had nothing to do with the others. So we were taken off the App Store, and we had to work through secondary and tertiary app stores to get our app back via
Wow.
some kind of APK and things of that sort. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, but we persevered, and it happens. This is where your entrepreneurial mindset takes over.
Got it. Got it. With the rapid, evolution of technology in the ad tech and e-commerce sectors, how do you stay ahead of the trends and to ensure that consulting strategies remain relevant?
Well, consulting strategies, for the most part, are very much elementary. There are certain aspects that never change, but they could evolve to accommodate different mindsets.
Hmm.
One I always think is important to learn is knowledge sharing. Work with people from all over the globe and learn how they operate. You might learn
Yes.
something new. So every time you want to reinvent the wheel and you want to enter like a new market, a new uncharted territory, you don't even speak the language, whatever, remember that at the end of the day, there are people over there, and everyone has a similar mindset. Everyone wants the same thing. So as long as you deliver the right value to them,
Hmm.
then you could succeed. And but the most important thing is, again, to keep an open mind. Always be mindful of anything you say, because sometimes people don't understand what you're saying, and it could be interpreted completely off the charts, and then it becomes a problem. So even when you want to help a company with its business development and everything, you need to understand the target market perfectly, and you need
Yes.
to make sure that they understand it, that the
Correct.
strategy isn't just some playbook, but it's followed to the letter. Because if
Hmm.
it's not, and there's too much diversion from it, it might fail. And when it fails completely. It
Mm.
never is something that you can fix.
Absolutely.
It's done.
Um, I know we touched on it in the beginning of our conversation. What is the common mistakes that you often see with entrepreneurs making it? Like, and how do you guide them to avoid such mistakes?
One of the things that I see many entrepreneurs doing these days is
Yes.
using the anonymous participant option on Facebook and whatnot to ask
Yeah.
questions. But the problem is that they sometimes have a lot of engagement with it, but they have no reputation behind this because people don't know who they are. They don't give enough information, and whatever they receive might
But
be wrong for
but
them.
why you think they do that? Why they come in as an anonymous and they create this group or participate and ask questions and there's a lot of interaction? There must be a reason why they keep it anonymous. Is it because they're afraid somebody could steal the idea, or I'm just curious?
For the most part, they believe that people could steal their idea, or
Yeah,
they want to ask questions and do like background checks through the group, and then they find out that certain
they can
people
blow
that
their covers. Yeah.
exactly, but the problem is that these people already know who you are. They'll understand through context that you might be speaking about them, because you'll change your strategy in like a month or like a week or whatever, and It's like, I think I read about this someday, like sometime last week, like sometime last month, whatever. So it goes against you. It's an abuse of a good tactic. Another
Got it.
tactic that I see that it's always a problem is people do go to those groups where you even see investors and whatnot, and then they ask, how do I approach investors? They're here in the group, just do it. Go to them, pitch, or they ask questions. Where do I find good pitches? Where do I find this? Have you ever heard of Google? Have you ever heard of AI? You know, be focused on initiative, be resourceful, try, because the problem is that you already burn your reputation with any possible clients, investors, whatever, when they see that you can't find that information yourself. Investors would always say the same thing: if you can't get me
Mhm.
at the table to speak to you about your startup and invest money in you, and you use like a scout or whatever, then I'm not going to invest money in your business, because I already know that you're not a closer. And if you can't close me as an investor, you can close sales, you can close clients, you can close partners. So it becomes like some kind of a schematic of who
Mhm.
you are and what you are. And the problem is,
Yes.
again, that the internet doesn't forget. You did it once, you're done.
Interesting. Um, can you give us some examples of particularly successful business development strategies and that you implemented and how it impacted the growth and growth trajectory of the company?
Of course. So I had a client once, and the client had a pricing strategy which
Hmm.
was focused on an emerging market instead of the target markets. So they were having clients over, but they were not making enough money. So I said, wait a minute, are you is it like geo pricing? Does it recognize where you're from and then it changes the pricing? Or does everyone else pay, like 10 cents on the dollar? So it was like, wait a minute. So I can change this, but what will happen? I said some clients will leave because now it's more expensive, but on the other hand, you're going to make more money, and then you have a better case when you show your company to an investor, because your MRR or your ARR is now doubled or tripled or quadrupled or whatever.
Hmm.
So it creates a difference. Not only that, but when you do the comparative analysis of everything, an investor who might be looking at this says, "Oh, wait a minute, this company really understands what they're doing. The pricing makes sense. They make enough money. They have enough clients. We can potentially project their success based on it." So,
Hmm.
as I always say, help possible investors invest in you. They're not going to invest based on some vision. They don't care about vision. They want to see something supportive of what you're saying. And if you can't find that support, they're not going to help you, especially this day and age post COVID 19.
Yes, correct. 100%. Um, how has the advent of generative AI and AI application in general has changed your perception of disruptive technology? And how can entrepreneurs utilize that for their own needs?
Oh, wow. How much time you got, buddy? Where do I start? AI, well, specifically, and let's reiterate this, we are speaking about generative AI in comparison with other AI tools. There are many
Yes.
AI tools out there, such as predictive AI. You have machine learning, you have deep learning, you have
My
many, many.
favorite is predictive AI, which me and you spoke about off
Yeah,
camera.
off
Yes.
camera,
Yeah.
definitely. But we'll
Yes.
focus on generative AI.
Yes.
So, generative AI in general has democratized skill sets that were, offered to a select few. AI for years has been something that, if you weren't a developer, you couldn't use artificial intelligence. But today, anyone and everyone can use artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
Non-technical people can now code with generative AI, and technical people can learn everything about business with AI. They're actually now training AI models with game theory material to help with decision making. That means that managers, team leaders, executives, everyone can now learn about possible strategies that they can use, such as cartelism, Nash equilibrium, the prisoner dilemma, everything and anything possible on the face of the planet. You can teach everyone everything. You can create your own copies, you can create your own visuals, graphs, you can even create your own ambience music to accompany a commercial. You can create a commercial at home. You
Hmm.
don't need, a director anymore. You don't need a producer anymore. You don't need actors. You don't need anything. You can be a one-man show. Solopreneurship, that concept that people have been speaking about, really could become a reality.
Well, it is. I feel it is. Solopreneurship, it's actually exists right now, and we live in that era of solopreneurship.
Definitely. And but the most important aspect, and I would like people to know this, is that AI isn't a replacement tool. It's an enhancement tool. If you don't have these people in your team, you can use this until you do. If you do have these people on your team, whatever you produce could be a lot better. Any project, any product, anything, you could do everything at a third of that time. Instead of a product launch taking 9 months, it could take 3 months, and it's crazy.
Yes. Yes, yes. I like the way you said it. You said AI is not a replacement tool. And there was a big stigma out there, a lot of rumors, a lot of negative discussions and talks that yeah, we should fight AI. There's a pushback. No, it's going to replace humanity. It's going to generate new jobs and it's going to enhance our work. It's going to enhance us further, our development, our vision, our goals. And again, there's the tools also. But yes, AI is not a replacement tool or is not a replacement technology. It's an enhancement technology with a lot of tools for us to help us advance ourselves. Well said. Definitely well said, AJ. The world is an oyster, but it seems to focus on what they know and how entrepreneurs navigate into emerging markets. Um, Knowing that second and fifth largest economies in the world are emerging markets, you know, um, how should I say?
Yeah, China and India in this respect are
Yeah.
emerging economies,
Yes.
but they're super important economies. China is the second largest economy in the world. India is the
Mhm.
fifth largest. It's the fastest growing out of the G20, economies in the world, and everything is now changing. India is now super focused on building its own chip facilities. Malaysia is doing the exact same thing. This will create more diversification. It will create cheaper chips. It will make AI cheaper. That means that you won't be, limited by like 40 prompts. You'll be limited by 100 prompts, 150, 160. It's not going to be as expensive. AI companies would start turning an actual profit in comparison with losing money every single month. OpenAI hasn't even broken even. They made 2
Wow.
billion, but everything costs more than 2 billion. So they're not even making any kind of money. Now imagine that you don't bring any kind of yield to investors. They'll stop investing anything in AI. So the same thing when it comes to emerging markets. Many companies are not even aware of the option of starting someplace else, creating a huge market share over there, being
Mhm.
the top player over there, making good money, and then go back to their target market. They always go to the most saturated market and they say, this is the best everything. We're the new Apple. We're the new Google. We're the new. No, you're not. Nobody knows who you are. You might reach that point but start someplace else. There are so many places in the world that are now just being digitized. You have a possible complete control of over those markets. You can get like a 20%, 30% market share in another country, and then you have enough empirical data that you can use and reuse to look for twin audiences anywhere else in the world, because now you have actual data. You don't have like 200 people in your MVP. You're going to have 200,000 users. You're going to have 2 million. You have, or even more than a third,
Yes.
more than a quarter of the world's population resides over there. So don't be so super focused on here and that's it. There are other options in the world.
Correct. Absolutely. Um, how has your involvement in prestigious council or councils like HBR Advisory Council shaped your perspective on in the industry and trends, best practices?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, HBR and other publications, for the most part,
Hmm.
are focused on the connection between academia and the real business world.
Hmm.
And we are asked and tasked with all different kinds of questions and surveys and everything about what should be the main focus for next year, for next quarter. How did AI change the perception of business? What is going on? How are businesses going to handle this? So you see all kinds of differences. Today there's a downturn market. Some countries have like surging interest rates. Some are stagnating. Some have like war cuts, and you have employees being fired. But a lot of the things could have been seen prior. You could be a possible, clairvoyant. It's
Hmm.
possible by learning history. The ones that don't learn from it are doomed to repeat it. And
Yes.
this happens all the time. You see like record profits in companies, but they're laying off people. Why are they doing that? Oh, because there is super professionalism. There's AI that can do the work of these people. We have no reason to hire so many people, pay them 150, $200,000 a year, and all they do is sit and do nothing. It's like diminishing returns. It's classic economics. The problem
Hmm.
is that there's now no need for those people. But there is a need for those people because some of them will start, they'll become entrepreneurs. They'll work for someone else. They'll use their corporate, capabilities in smaller businesses and help them grow
Grow.
and, exactly, and
Hmm.
reiterate and do something better. There's a lot of good potential. And a lot of that information is something that you can learn from things such as Harvard Business Review,
Hmm.
uh, and the Yale Gazette and other magazines out there. But you need to focus on things that are relevant for you on the one hand, and on the other, again, keep an open mind because every day you learn something new.
Correct. Let's talk about your book. What motivated you to write the business book, or books, I should say, and and what key messages that you do hope the readers take away from them? Because how
Okay,
many
so
books you have out there? More than one.
uh, well, I've co-authored two books,
Uh huh.
and uh, there's one in the making, but it's not a business book yet.
Uh huh.
It's focused on something entirely different. First one focuses on things such as marketing mix and branding for startups and small businesses. Many of them, for example, don't even have websites, or they use like Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but they don't have enough reach. How do you create reach? How do you create um, like tangible and engageable content? Not only that, engageable as in come and pay me money, Not, ooh, I really like your video. Nobody cares about liking your video. You're not a large enough business for you to just create awareness for your brand. You need to
Yes.
create a good brand, and that's important. So that's like the main focus of the first book. Second book is actually the implementation of artificial intelligence in businesses. How do you do it perfectly? What are AI advocates? That is people that you bring from different teams, and these are the people that will help you in guiding the rest of the team members and everything. They'll help you in finding out all information regarding where we should implement AI, how we should implement this, which tools are best, how people are going to learn how to use them, how to
Hmm.
train people using them, and then how to monitor the success of good implementation strategy. Because implementing AI today in business is the same as taking a non-computer using company 40 years ago and putting computers in that company. Let's stop the manual work and start using a computer. So this is AI in a nutshell these days. Removing a lot of routine work. What does it mean? Would people feel like they have no use anymore? Things of that sort. And how do you deal with that kind of information?
Well, we talked about AI is not a replacement, is an enhancement. Okay, as you said, let's take the manual work and bring in computers to automate things. Now we have something new called AI. It's no longer just automation. It kind of could learns the data and comes up with answers faster, organize things way better, and gets you ahead. As we talked also about it, predictive AI, it could be, that. So there's a lot of could do predictive AI. It's pretty much analysis, having, computed analysis where whatever business you're in, whether you're in the sales, selling products, or
Mhm.
in the investment market and all of that. So how do you work with when you bring in AI? What do you do with a lot of the staff that work in there? As you said, a lot of companies making record earnings, but they're getting rid of their staff that help them reach those goals, obviously, and they're not doing anything. They say. So how do we avoid that? What's like the connection there? What's the steps? Should companies take their employees and staff start educating them? Is there a place for them? And there really no place for them anymore. They should be on their own, go and become entrepreneurs and or work for smaller businesses and bring them to that level. What's your opinion and objective on it and your advice?
Most projections I've read discuss the fact that AI will replace 300 million jobs, but
Correct.
will
I heard
create
that.
around
Yes.
180 to 200 million. That means
Yes.
that between 100 to 120 million people, roughly 33%, will need retraining. You can either retrain your employees today, maybe even let them build new products completely. Now that they have AI doing their routine work, they are, free to roam the fields and, think things over and create something new. Some of
Hmm.
them will find themselves, obsolete and irrelevant, and they'll leave. Many people find themselves after like 15 years coding that they don't like coding anymore, and then now they want to be, like chocolatiers or whatever. So, if it's not their calling, then perhaps you should help them. But on the other hand, it is important to retain those people because, as you said, they help you reach wherever and whatever that you are. But
Yeah.
again, a lot of trying to be lean after more than 2 years of overhiring people. It was just bad management, and management needs to do better. And that's the funny thing about this, because now Samsung is forcing their executives to work 6-day weeks while employees work like 4 or 5 days a week, because they said there's a reason why we're not making enough money, and the problem is you guys.
Hmm.
not your subordinates, but you, the executives. On the other hand, you have buyer that is like uh, decided to fire older executives, and now they're making their employees autonomous. You'll be running things now. So it's like Lord of the Flies or something along those lines, and
I like
hopefully,
that. That's something like
or
accountability. Like they make them response for their own, accountable for their own actions.
precisely.
Yes.
Uh, and these these are like crazy times on the one hand, but perhaps buyer also understood that now that there's like AI, and a lot of executive work could be done with AI. There's like a company in Poland, if I'm not mistaken, that decided that we don't have a CEO. Our CEO is AI. So there's like AI, which is the chief executive officer of the company, which handles everything. So maybe buyer understood that it's the same thing. What do we need a VP marketing for? For the most part, these people no longer have hands-on experience because they've been in executive positions for years. They don't even remember how to run an ad. They don't know what to do. They have some working experience, but it's like, fine, yeah, it's like 15 years ago when tech was different.
Yes.
So maybe that's like the underlying reason to say bye bye to those executives who take home like millions of dollars, but on the other hand, they have nothing to show for it. So maybe if the employees are now completely autonomous and bosses to them own to their own selves, then perhaps it's an interesting thought experiment.
Could be a new way. Absolutely. Yes. Get rid of the big money earners and give some of that money for the employees and for the company technology. Invested in technology and invested in your employees. And maybe that's how you could save and keep these people working, keep them advanced to where technology is at and how where is it going, obviously, and make them part of it.
Definitely. I,
That's an interesting advice. I haven't heard it anywhere else. And is that the only company in the world, that Polish company in Poland, that really kind of took that kind of strategy and and that kind of path?
that's the only one I've heard of that
Yeah,
was on the news. But I'm guessing there are
the others follow suit
small
and all of
smaller
that. Yes.
companies doing this, and it might not work for all kinds of companies.
No.
That
No.
specific company is, I think it's an ad tech company, like a media company or something along those lines. So maybe because a lot of the work over there has been automated for years, there's like algorithmic,
Yes.
media buying and things of that sorts, then it could work. But I'm guessing if you do that in like a BMW factory or something like that, even though they are putting, autonomous robots and
Yes.
everything over
Yes.
there,
Oh,
then
they've been there for years. Yeah.
yes, but
Yeah.
now they're like AI driven. They
Yeah.
want those robots to do the work, but over there they have a work crunch. They have a labor crunch. They have tons of people that are unemployed, and they just don't have a way to continue building their industrial prowess without paying more money, because now there's fewer people working. So the
Yeah.
ones that are there need to be incentivized even more so. So maybe, getting rid of executives to a certain degree, allows you to have that breathing room to give incentives to those said workers.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it would be interesting to see how this plays out.
I mean, I like the other approach where instead of having an AI executive, AI boss, get rid of the big executive, save half of that money for the company growth, and take the other half and spread it between the employees and make them responsible for their own action. And you know what happened? If you don't reach certain things, you're done. You're done because it's in your hand now. You want a job, he's a job, and he's more money. Now let's see, and make them accountable for their own action. Actually, and to be part of this technology and part of this
It,
advancement.
yeah,
Yes, I like that.
it's like breeding archy in anarchy. It's like we'll create a new structure,
Yeah,
hierarchy within the anarchy and everything, because it just doesn't make sense, because every business major, and of course I'm shooting myself in the foot
Yeah.
when I'm saying this, but every business major learns that a company needs a leader. The question is, if
Leadership, yeah,
they
they
know the
focus on the
leader,
leadership a lot, and they forget about the employees who really do the work, the labor work, the hard work, who drive, who help the growth of the company.
I'm guessing that the charismatic ones will become, natural leaders anyway, because everyone needs someone to give them some kind of motivation, telling them how good they are, whatever. Because if you leave them completely to themselves, those companies will, go under within a day.
I would leave it personally. I would leave. I'll create a managerial, not executive, but working managerial kind of. How should I say? Managers that involve, not just giving orders, that actually working. Active
Yeah,
managerial roles, like really active, because a lot of executive not active, only just giving orders. But that's not what we need at a
maybe
times where AI involved and technology is moving fast.
maybe they should take, all kinds of aspects from the military, where you have to be, you have to be at a certain physical shape and everything, even if you're an officer, even if you're this, even if you're that. So maybe, they'll force you into like hands-on experience, or something to keep your job. I don't know.
Yeah, because you're active, you're in the military, even doesn't matter, the higher ranks are active, they get involved.
Precisely. Precisely.
Yes,
So,
it's
so
not
maybe
somebody where on the golf course and giving military orders while he's playing golf. No.
exactly. So it's
Yeah.
going to be more efficient. They
Yes.
make things
Yes.
more efficient.
Yes, absolutely. That, you know what? Another podcast interview. Me and you should discuss. That's an interesting one, actually. It's
Well,
funny
we can
how
talk about
the
efficiency
conversation went.
of AI.
But it's something needed actually, because something we going through right now. The world is going through
Yeah,
restructuring, and they're all
it,
saying, get rid of the people, just have AI, and keep the executive where they are, and keep paying them the millions or add more millions to them. But one executive, how many employees can you have with one executive? If you take 50% of their salaries, 50, I'm not saying 50%, literally you can build another company, another business, fully staffed.
not only that, again, those executives bring diminishing returns, because after a certain
Yes.
point, you don't really need so many executives doing that.
Yeah.
And we see that in the big four companies, where you have like 5,000, 6,000 partners. Everyone's a partner. Everyone there is a partner. Everyone there
Yeah.
is a principal, whatever. And they've been laying off thousands of people because they said that we have like diminishing businesses. And they're like, well, you're bullshitting with that. Excuse my language. I mean, you've been making billions of dollars. So what? People stopped using you. They have to use you. You audit their business. You do this. You do that. But again, there's a huge problem, because they have yes men doing whatever they're told to do instead of what they should do. This is why they also see all those lawsuits. They see all those problems.
Yeah.
They see diminishing businesses. People are not paying them as much as they used to, because it's like super expensive, and they're not really getting anything for that money. I mean,
Yes.
you pay
Yes.
some auditor $1 million a year, and you could have taken someone for 100 grand, and you'd get the exact same type of outcome. So
Absolutely.
why should I be paying you a
Absolutely.
million?
They should, how they should be, the title should be the executive, should be executive consultants, and their money based on performance and the ideas that they contribute and they get active with, and they get a percentage of it, not a salary consultant, you know.
It's not only that, but their performance is mostly based on the fact that how much money did you bring in, not how many employees have you retained, how many people have you retained at the client's business. How did you help the client overcome and become more competitive or whatever?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
just more efficient, not just turning a non-profitable company into a profitable company, because that's just money. It's enough that everything costs 3 times as much money and you'll make money.
Yes.
That's not
Yes.
that's a no-brainer. There's
Absolutely.
something more profound.
Can you outline the framework or key principles of developing a successful go to market strategy, especially for startups aiming to disrupt established markets?
Okay, that's a great question. So the first thing that people should understand is that there is a market to whatever they think there is. Again,
Hmm.
on the one hand, I'll quote Henry Ford on this, and I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster
Hmm.
horses. But it's not just about let's solve a problem. But in the days of AI, you are no longer solving a pain point. You're solving a plethora of symptoms. People have tons of problems. Now now with AI, you can actually create a go-to-market plan that builds like 3 or 5 nano products within a larger product. Each feature could be its own product, and once one of them atrophies, you just get rid of it. You don't wait 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever, until you understand, oh, I'm hemorrhaging money, it doesn't work anymore. But continue pivoting and continue checking your own strategies every 6 weeks. Yes, it's crazy, but you can do this. Not just create some strategy. You wrote some GTM like 2 years ago and you follow it and it worked well. Now it doesn't work anymore. What do? I recreate it. No, you don't recreate it. You pivot in between. You learn the dynamics of the market. You
Hmm.
evolve. Your market research should be based on actual information that you see. But again, don't just do the market research, do an operations research. Don't look for the problem, look for the symptom. What has created the reason for this to happen? I don't know. There's not enough people working in that field. Why aren't there people working in that field? Instead of saying there's a problem, who said there was a problem? Just because you think there's a problem doesn't make it a statistical problem. It could be an anecdote. Don't build businesses based on anecdotes. Build businesses based on actual empirical evidence saying so.
Hmm.
Don't get
Hmm.
200 people in an MVP. Run an MVP for a year if needed. Get 6,000 people on that MVP. That way, you'll see that there's no sampling bias, that it makes sense, that there's an actual market for it. Not only that, don't focus on, I need money from an investor. No, start selling. So many companies sell on the pre-sale. So why aren't you pre-selling anything? People are
Yes.
willing to pay money for a vision. Okay, so
Yes.
you'll give me that product in like 6 months. Fine, I'll wait 6 months if it's like the best shaving razor ever, if it's the best
Hmm.
car ever, whatever. We saw that with Tesla. All of their
Yes.
sales were pre-sales. None of those sales was ever based on the fact that there was a car made. And we saw what happened afterwards, but that's something entirely different. But imagine if that stuff of the Cybertruck, for example, didn't happen, how successful they would have been based on it. Because pre-sales
Yes.
is super important for a business. That's money in the bank without costs for you.
Well, that's the strategy of a lot of the okay, Miami, let's take it. 80% of their all pre-construction and sales, all based on pre-sales. That's how they built these massive projects. Sure, there's big investments behind them, guarantees and credits and the bank and all of that. But still, a lot of the money that comes in, it comes in from pre-sales, and there's nothing there still. They haven't even, how did I say? What should I say? What's the word? They haven't started digging or they broke ground. They haven't broke ground yet. Yes, and they do massive big sales based on the concept, the idea, the whole thing, the models that they create, and all of that. Yeah.
Not only that, but don't just focus on regular investors. I need angel investors. I need this kind of fund. I need this kind of grant, whatever. Go to a possible partner, a company that you know for certain could use your product and make them partners with you. Why
Good
are
advice.
people
I like
so
that.
afraid of it? I mean,
Yeah.
anyway, when you want to go and exit, you're looking for a company to buy you out.
It's right there. It's right there, right under your fingertips.
Yeah,
Yes.
help them out. Maybe they'll say, you know what? We'll want you to stay autonomous. We'll want you as not a division. You'll be a separate subsidiary, whatever. It might work for them. It has
Oh, yeah.
happened before, and it can happen in the future. Many companies now, even like corporates, focus on entrepreneurship. They build like new companies from a single company, whatever. Things happen. They
Yes.
all do this because they want innovation. Once you reach a certain corporate level, you're no longer innovative. So you atrophy. You become symmetrical instead of asymmetrical. So once you're asymmetrical, this is how evolution starts. You
Yes.
start changing your color, or you start, I don't know, you have like longer ears so you can listen better, whatever. So, but it's the same thing for a company. You see this with Apple. They
Yes.
have diminishing sales for the iPhone. Why? Because the iPhone is no longer innovative. There's nothing innovative about it. It's not interesting. Vision Pro is a lemon. Why is it a lemon? Because they didn't think about the user experience at all, that it's too heavy, that you can't walk around for more than 10 minutes with this.
With a
That
motorcycle helmet,
exactly,
literally.
exactly. And
Yes.
it's like, no, people will buy it. No, people won't buy it. This is don't make your clients idiots. They're not
Yes.
idiots. They'll buy
Well,
it
to me,
because
you know what? I think it's a case study. To me, it's a case study, but they say, hey, why don't we do a case study and see how. I think it's a case study. They released it, you know.
precisely. But these are things that you can learn from.
Yes. Correct.
Don't
Correct.
think you have the most amazing product out there. Show the world it is the most amazing product out there by selling it. If you can't sell a single unit, nobody wants it. It's not a good product. No matter what
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
nonsense you're going to tell yourself. And again, avoid the echo chamber that everyone is like yes queening you. Everyone tells you how great you are, whatever. If you want
Yeah.
to hear how great you are, talk to your mom. She'll tell you how great you are. If you want
Yes.
the God's honest truth, ask people, would you even pay for this? Yes, I'll pay for this if one, two, three, four, five. Oh, that's the information you're looking for.
Cool. Love it. Um, Quick question. What is the biggest misconception people have about businesses or entrepreneurship? And how can understanding the truth behind the benefit aspiring entrepreneurs, or professionals?
I think many people hate the fact that they need to wake up and go to work, so they become entrepreneurs instead. They want to be their own bosses, and that's not the point of entrepreneurship. Because entrepreneurship is a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of I don't even have money in my pocket to buy food, whatever. And it's not for everyone. Not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. And if you have nothing substantial to offer, just don't be one. It's fine. It's fine. The world doesn't need everyone to be entrepreneurial. So
You know,
people misunderstand the concept of
yes.
entrepreneurship with resourcefulness or initiative. It's not the same thing. Those are things that are great for entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. But if you are partaking in this, you need to build a great product or great service. Think about the value that you're providing. The money will come with it. Once you sell it,
Yes, the money will come.
the money will come. That's it. That's your
Yes.
focus.
I mean, do you think we live in a social pressure of entrepreneurship right now? It's like, when you're growing up in college and hanging out with your buddies. Let's say you don't drink, you don't smoke. All of a sudden, you don't go and smoke or drink, and come out of college, you've done it all because of the social peer, the pressure peers that you have from your peers. So, do you
I
think? I don't mean to
think
make the comparison, but do we live in that bubble right now of
it's
everybody is under pressure, even like young teenagers, I got to be in entrepreneurship. If you're not, you're a loser. You're this, you're that. Do we live in that kind of?
There's like an over focus on, it started about a decade ago,
Yeah.
on digital nomads that become your own boss, be on a beach, in Bali or Ibiza or whatever, or the Caribbean somewhere, but people don't want to do the actual work. And now with the advent of AI, a lot of that freelancer work is going to disappear completely because AI can do it for you better, whatever. That's not entrepreneurship. Real entrepreneurship is building a business, is being innovative, is building an enterprise. And that's an enterprise. If you're not building anything and it's just you, not as in you a solopreneur, but
Hmm.
you doing, a couple of things a week, you're not an entrepreneur. You're just a freelancer. So make the huge distinction. But the main focus of why it has happened is actually social media. People see all those TikTok videos, whatever, and they see things and they think that it's reality. And it makes them make tons of mistakes, such as I'll quit college, and because this guy quit college, then it's real. They don't even know that they've been duped to believing into that narrative, that these people are just good marketeers. And they need to realize for themselves what it is that they want from life. And, lock the doors and everything and just listen to your own inner voice at first, then
Hmm.
start listening to society, and then think about if there is anything to change about society, if it's really for you. And if it's for you, what can you do to make it happen? Start looking for people of similar backgrounds to yourself and start talking to them. Maybe there's something tangible which makes sense,
Hmm.
but maybe there isn't. And if there isn't, don't invest time and effort in something that you are unwilling, not unable, unwilling to really do for the next 20 years.
Yes. Yes.
Entrepreneurship isn't internship. You don't do this for like a couple of years and then you stop.
No. No. No.
Either
You're right.
you're either all in or you're not there at all.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Absolutely. You know, the negative thing that you mentioned about social media and they pushing for that solopreneurship and being an entrepreneur and make money and, enjoy life and drive the Rolls Royce and be on the beach. That they pitch their one of their main pitching, you don't need school, you don't need college. And I'm like, without education, we're not going nowhere. You need education. And that's the scary part. A lot of even the entrepreneurs themselves who kind of do the master classes, not everybody, some I saw. And I don't like the message. Like, no, you do need education. Education is everything. Advance yourself. How do you need knowledge? You need to feed your mind with knowledge. You need to advance yourself in anything that you want to do in life. You need to have knowledge. You need to speak properly, to learn properly, to communicate, to have knowledge about certain things if you want to get involved. It just, to me, it's the wrong message, sadly. And I don't like that part of that message. I like everything else, the motivation aspect of it and all of that, but the inspirement and, to be inspired, going forward and everything, have the courage, but not the education. Let's not say education is no good. Maybe the education system is broken, need to be changed, but education is good. We need it. That's my philosophy on it.
People always need to know that they know nothing. You know nothing. Every
Yeah.
day you learn something new. And you're
Yes.
not going to learn anything without first understanding
Yes.
what it is that you're learning. Because you can read
Yes.
a book, but if you don't understand what the book is about, then it doesn't matter what you read. And you
Yes.
will misapply it or not
Yes.
apply it at all in your life.
Correct.
And
Correct.
so education is beyond just learning how to read and count.
Yes.
It will advance society only if people continue
Correct.
studying.
AJ, it's been a great and an enjoyable conversation and discussion and interview for our viewers and our listeners. Quick thing. Are you coming up with anything soon that you want to mention, or you appearing anywhere, or something you part of that you would like to promote or mention and let our viewers and listeners go to it, look at it, or be part of it?
Well, there are so many things going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, what I suggest people to do is just follow me on LinkedIn or anywhere else on social media,
Hmm.
and you'll see and hear a lot of new things happening. And just like drop me a line, and I'm always happy to speak to new people.
Great. Well, to follow you on LinkedIn, it's Avi Shay, Shay, one word, Avishai. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Avishai, and last name is Segal, like Steven Segal, Segal. Yes. So follow him on LinkedIn, and I guess from there you can communicate with Avishai Segal, and you can discuss things, shoot him a line, or communicate. That's part of how you network. Again, thank you for joining us today. It's been great. And on Innovate Presents Entrepreneurs in Tech, be sure to connect with us on social media. Until next time, keep innovating and stay curious. I guess that's what it is. You got to stay curious. And that's it. Well, wish everybody
Well,
have a great, great rest of the day, wherever you are in this world.
yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share Innovate Presents Entrepreneurs in Tech podcast. And if you're joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.